Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to J&J Studios, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the finale for Bad Batch Part 1. So, before we get into things, if you guys hear that noise in the background, it's my AC in my room. I apologize if it's loud and obnoxious. I'm just extremely hot, and it's also really hot where I am right now. So, just to get started, what we see in this episode, and oh my god, I must say, this was one of my favorite episodes of the entire season, if not my number one favorite. And I cannot believe what we have found out in this episode, guys. Please stay tuned till the end, because I want to really see what you guys also think about this ending and what people are going to think is going to happen in part 2. So this really isn't going to be a theory video. This is going to be more of like a review and prediction video where you guys are going to, predict what you think is going to happen in the next episode. So, just to start off, we see that Hunter was captured by Crosshair and is brought to Kamino in the beginning of this episode. And he's taken to Kamino, and Crosshair decides to activate Hunter's communication device in order to get the rest of the Bad Batch crew to obviously show up at Kamino to try to rescue Hunter. So, what we do see is the Bad Batch crew obviously respond to Hunter's comlink, and they start tracking it back, obviously, to Kamino. And we see the Bad Batch crew take a secret entrance that Omega knew about to get into Kamino facility. And when they get into the facility, they're obviously looking at, funny enough, was their birthplace, where all of them were obviously made and bred in that laboratory. We see, and we figure that out through Omega, who actually explains, that's where they all were once before, obviously, the rest of the Bad Batch crew was put in with the regs. So, with that being said, we cut back to Hunter and Crosshair, and they're actually sitting inside of the training room where the Bad Batch crew had once trained before they left Kamino back during episode 1. And we see them clearly waiting, obviously setting this trap for the rest of the Bad Batch crew. So we see Echo, and we also see Wrecker looking to infiltrate the training room so that they could save Hunter. They know it's a trap, and obviously, because them being the Bad Batch crew and they don't leave anyone behind, they have to obviously go rescue Hunter. So Wrecker, Echo, and the rest of them, besides Omega, go in and they go to save Hunter in the training room. While they're in the training room, they actually get flanked by the Imperial troops. And they also find out that these are not actual clone troopers. These are just regular people fighting for the Empire. These are not clone troopers. This is something that's very important, because we have been seeing throughout this entire series that they have been slowly trying to replace the clones with stormtroopers. So, we see the stormtroopers, I should say, are flanking around the entire Bad Batch crew, and they have the entire Bad Batch crew surrounded. And so they're forced to set down their weapons. Obviously, all of them except for Omega. Omega, on the other hand, is below the training facility and is actually trying to set a trap by activating all of the training bots that we saw back in episode 1 to obviously attack and flank the stormtroopers. So, Omega decides to start setting a trap, and she pulls the trap. But what we didn't realize was that Crosshair, up above, and this is the most important part of this episode, before Omega sets those droids out to attack, Crosshair talks to the Bad Batch crew and tries to convince them to join the Empire. This is super, super, super important, because we also find out that Crosshair has had his inhibitor chip taken out a long time ago, and he's actually not being controlled by the Empire. He is doing this out of his own decision to work for the Empire. He's not being controlled by an inhibitor chip. He tries to recruit the Bad Batch crew, and he convinces them to trust him by killing the rest of his stormtroopers. And then asking once again for the Bad Batch crew to join him and work for the Empire. They have refused. And then Omega sets off the droids, and now the entire Bad Batch crew, the original Bad Batch crew, is trying to fight off these droids. They eventually destroy the rest of the droids. One of the stormtroopers escapes, tells the Admiral to fire on the city because Crosshair's lost control of the situation. And at the end of it all, we see Crosshair and Hunter both at gunpoint with each other, and Hunter shoots him with the stun gun, and they take Crosshair and they try to escape the planet while it's being bombarded from above by 3 Venator-class Star Destroyers. And at that point, we see them trying to rush to the ship, back to the ship, but they don't make it in time. The entire platform breaks, and the entire city starts to sink, and that's where the episode ends. So, I must say, this is one of the most nail-biting episodes. We see Crosshair, of all people, tell us that he had his inhibitor chip removed. I personally was in complete shock when I heard this, and I must say, this is one of the episodes where I can say, holy cow, I cannot wait for part 2. So let me know what you guys think is going to happen in part 2. Again, this is just a quick review of the episode, because I'm telling you, I cannot wait for next week. So once again, let us know what you guys think. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.